coming home, coming home. Tell the world that I'm coming. Welcome back to another Easy Mind reaction, guys. Today we are reacting to the channel Success for Breakfast. I know, another INFJ video. Look, I'm just interested about learning more about myself. This whole process, this whole learning period, about personality has been great, has been fulfilling, has been eye-opening, insightful. And so I'm just trying to cover all bases. But this is the last video in regards to INFJ's personality type. I might watch other videos, videos that or videos regarding personalities that might be in reference to some of my friends. But yeah, no, I don't think there's really much to get into it. I think you guys see the title, How Do Other People See INFJ? And if you know me, as one thing I'm always curious about, how are other people perceiving me? How are other people viewing me? What's the idea of me in which other people hold in their minds? And that's something that always interests me. And I
Stop it. Get some help.
As I explained before,
it's not so that I can change myself or try to be something else, for someone else. It's just, it's fulfilling and calming to realize that the way in which you see yourself is also the way in which other people see yourself. And one thing I wrote on a social experiment in which I was trying to figure that out was that, I think there's many truths in the world, but if two people can believe or refer to one truth, then that just makes the relationship easier to conduct, and it makes the relationship run more smoothly. So with that in mind, or with that being said, let's get right into the video. Okay, 1080p, closed captions. Let's learn more about ourselves.
Every personality type has one thing in common. It's the fact that a lot of stereotypes revolve around their personality. One personality type that gets the most bothered by that is INFJ. See, the thing is, INFJs are great at reading other people's emotions and knowing what a person is thinking. But there's one blind spot. It can be hard for them to figure out how other people see them. And this blind spot can really frustrate them. But don't worry, I'm going to help you figure it out today in this video, because today I'm talking about how other people view an INFJ. Even if you're not an INFJ, make sure to tune in till the end of the video so you can finally understand the INFJs around you better and let go of any false stereotypes. Let's get into it.
Appreciate you, man.
Welcome to Success for Breakfast, where I'm serving up brain food made simple. Hit that subscribe button to get the latest videos created to give you the tools to level up your life. Kicking things off in number 7 today is people think they're socially awkward. Now, I'm sure this one doesn't surprise any INFJ, right? Because let's face it, most, if not all INFJs already fear that they come off as socially awkward. But if I'm making a video on how other people view INFJs, this one definitely has to be mentioned. But there's one thing INFJs are mistaken about though. They think everyone around them is always judging them because of how socially awkward they think they are. Well, that's not exactly true. Other people aren't judging you nearly as much as you think they are. But yes, they can notice how awkward you get when you're trying to fit into certain social gatherings. But that isn't always the case. Once INFJs get a little bit comfortable and try to interact with people, they're actually great at holding conversations, and yes, other people think that too. In fact, if INFJs work and develop their extroverted feeling function, many of them can actually be mistaken for extroverts as well. So it's true that INFJs can be considered socially awkward, but it's nothing that has to be permanent and is often untrue.
what?
Gotcha.
Man, hold on, guys. Let me get rid of ads. Anyways, as I was saying, prime example of that happened last night when my mother rents out Airbnb. What am I saying? My mother is on Airbnb and she rents out her place to, well, of course, other people. And basically, she's one of those people that stays in the home whilst the other guest is staying there. But these two elderly couple, which were staying there at the time, walked in and we struck a conversation. But one thing I noticed about myself is that I was stumbling upon my words and I couldn't figure out certain words that usually come to me pretty naturally. And but like once I took conscious notion of that, I kind of reminded myself to calm down and come to my senses and come to realize that, these are just ordinary people as well. And then, once I had that thought pass through my mind, I kind of relaxed and then I was able to have a pretty fluid conversation. Like a lot of times when I'm first meeting someone, my conversations are, I don't want to say surface level, but it's very much just repetition of what I've said in the past with other people. But I think as I calm down, I begin to, because the difference is when I'm talking, it's hard to take notes of, how do I say? I think I'm more intuitive when I'm quiet and just observing and just thinking to myself. But as I'm engaged in conversation, I have to make that conscious effort to regard what I'm saying and understand how. Basically, the focus is on myself when I'm talking as opposed to other people, and so that kind of, I guess, conflicts with my natural way of being, as I like to sit back and observe and just watch how things go down and watch other people interact with each other. And so I kind of become startled, or I might, take a while to get going. This is for people which, I'm new to, which I'm meeting for the first time. But after that, like I said, after many hangouts, I've come to know the person. Like I said, I feel to be pretty quick, pretty apt at coming to understand the general idea of an individual and adapting to them as they are. But yeah, let's get back to the video. I gotta get rid of ads,
Be
man.
awkward, but it's nothing that has to be permanent and is often untrue. Number 6 on today's list is people think they need to be more direct. As an INFJ, they all have the habit of keeping their feelings and thoughts hidden. INFJs do this for the sake of other people. They don't want to bother other people with their own emotions, but other people don't see it that way. INFJs are trying to avoid hurting people, but instead, because of how closed off they are about their emotions, they end up confusing others. And for some, it can be really frustrating. They're always confused whether an INFJ likes them or not, and INFJs that are way too shut off about their emotions can come off as rude or passive-aggressive to other people, even when that's not their intention. Even though, for INFJs, it has become a habit and they think they're doing it for the betterment of other people, but others don't see it that way. In fact, as I mentioned, some people tend to see it rather negatively. So somewhere along the way, to avoid that from happening, INFJs need to get out of their shell and get into the habit of saying things a bit more directly. Number 5 on our list of ways other people see an INFJ is people see them as intelligent.
Nice.
Well, it's a fact that INFJs do have pretty high emotional intelligence. Of course, considering this personality type also loves to study new things and figure out how everything works, it isn't surprising that others see them as intelligent. INFJs can speak about many different topics in depth. That gives other people the impression that they're really, really intelligent. Because of course, when someone knows a lot about many different topics, people get impressed. Well, this is absolutely true. INFJs sure are intelligent, but sometimes it isn't necessarily about intelligence. It's just about how the world interests them and how they love to learn about many different things.
Dude, that's exactly the way I see it, and that's exactly the way I try to explain it to the people. And maybe I just have a problem taking compliments
Okay.
and whatnot. But when people refer to me as smart and intelligent, and, competent and capable,
No, you good.
I have this proclivity to just, shut it down or to kind of dismiss it and just refer to it as a general interest in things, in the world and trying to see how things work. I'm constantly reading, I'm constantly getting involved with new material and, I guess just trying to piece together the different patterns in which I've taken notice of in my life. And, these things have stuck with me as I've learned them and as I've grown, and I'm able to recall them in memory and speak upon them. What's his name? Jordan Peterson had explained in one video how he was asked about how he prepares for lectures. And a lot of times, he has the things in which he writes down, but a lot of times he doesn't really go along with his pre-written material. He has this this network of ideas which is kind of instilled within his mind or within an individual's mind that they go through, and they're able to have the main idea essentially, and then because they've studied other things that might be surrounding that main idea, they can then build up on those ideas with maybe, I think he explained it as like 2 to 3 other ideas to kind of provide or be used as evidence for that that heading concept. And I think that's kind of how the way I go about explaining things a lot and talking. And like I said, people do, I've been told by a lot of people, different people, that they see me as intelligent, smart.
We don't care at all.
And all those, great characteristics, great adjectives, which one person would love to be referred to as, but I think a lot of times I dismiss it. And it's not so much because I don't see myself as being smart or intelligent. No. Okay, I dismiss it, but not because I think myself to be dumb, but I dismiss it because I see your idea of what's smart and intelligent in a different way, I guess. Like I said, I just see myself as an explorer of ideas. And so, yeah, great way to put it, Houston.
It's about how the world interests them and how they love to learn about many different things. And when you combine this knowledge with an INFJ's exceptional introverted intuition, of course, people will see them as extremely intelligent. If you've gotten some value from this video so far, please show your appreciation and hit that like button. That signals YouTube that you think other people could benefit from this video too.
Yeah.
Next up,
like this video, guys.
Today is people see them as kind and helpful. Sure, INFJs seem to be socially awkward, but that's not always the case. Even when they are a bit awkward, INFJs make sure they help everyone around them. When you look at them from far away, you might think they're a little rude, but that's because of their introverted intuition cognitive function. Once you start talking to an INFJ, they're some of the kindest and most helpful people out there. That's because when it comes to helping people, INFJs put their natural awkwardness aside. They make sure they deal with people kindly, and they're always considerate towards everyone. They make sure if someone needs help, they are there to help. Even if it's a small issue, they are there. And in fact, one of the best characteristics of INFJs, according to other people, is the fact that if you need help, they will always be there for you no matter what.
What do you want?
Come on now, dog. Come on, man.
I gotta get rid of ass.
Starting our top 3 ways other people see an INFJ is people think they're...
Is that, what's his name? Who's that actor? Carl? No. It's an actor I always get confused with Ben Stiller. Michael Scott, but what's his name? Can't remember.
They're observant. Okay, let's
Wait,
face
what they
it.
say?
An INFJ is people think they're observant.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, let's face it. It's a fact that INFJs don't talk a lot unless they're around their close circle. But they do notice everything. They might not ever say it out loud, and they'll mostly ignore it for the sake of other people, but they do notice everything going on around them. However, it's a fact that nothing can stay hidden from an INFJ, and other people notice that too. When INFJs enter a new environment, they make sure to look around and observe the people and the situation.
You know what's crazy? Like, I'm not I'm not involved in any type of lifestyle that would cause me to be so, I guess, paranoid or, you know, I don't know. But when I walk into a building or when I walk into an area surrounded by other people, or maybe there's no people around, but like the first things I do is one, I try to take notice of where the exits are. And then after that, I try to take notice of who is within my vicinity, who's around me and their kind of placements, whether in front of me, behind me, to the left of me, to the did I just say to the left of me and point to the right? To the left of me or to the right of me. And then I play out a couple scenarios in my head about how things could happen if something was to go off, or I don't know. It's just like I feel like there's a whole world inside my head
Stop it. Get some help.
when I'm in public. Well, also when I'm alone, but a lot of times I feel like I'm playing sometimes almost impossible situations. Well, it's not impossible, nothing's impossible, but nearly impossible, I guess, situations in my head. And also as well as likely situations. And I'm basing it off of the people I'm around because, the people I'm around or that are with me also have personality traits. So I have to take that into consideration. And yeah, but no, it's just crazy the thoughts I have on a timely basis. Let me take it back.
Environment, they make sure to look around and observe the people and the situation. They pick up different vibes around the room, and once they know what the environment is like and if they like it, only then can they get comfortable and talk.
Right.
Yes, it's totally true, but as an INFJ, I'm sure you might think that no one around you notices that. Well, this might come as a surprise, but people do notice it. And yes, INFJs are known to be very observant by everyone around them. In the runner-up spot, and number 2 today, is people see them as calm.
I
If
get
we
that.
talk about an INFJ's mind, nothing about it is calm. A lot is going on in their minds, and it can be
Just
complete
sit.
chaos. In fact, many times it gets really hard to deal with for them. But even with all that mess in their mind, they're great at hiding it from other people. That might be because most INFJs usually think about their problems when they're alone. That's why it's so important for INFJs to have some alone time, by the way. Otherwise, their feelings just explode and they can end up regretting it later on. But even with all of that, other people tend to think INFJs are rather calm, because when they're around people, they don't let out any external reaction. Even with all the confusion in their mind, they make sure they have a pretty stable demeanor, and that's why most people see them as really, really calm. Topping our list, and the number 1 way other people see an INFJ is people think they're easy to get along with. Even with their social awkwardness, people aren't exactly repelled from INFJs. In fact, people think they're really easy to get along with. Other people tend to get comfortable in the presence of an INFJ quite quickly. If you're an INFJ, I have a question for you. Have you ever started talking to a new person and noticed how they started opening up to you really quickly?
Okay. So 2 things. I want to get to the second one if I remember it. But first, see, I'm over here forgetting the first one too. No. Dang, am I really forgetting it? Have you ever started talking to a new person and notice how? Okay, yeah. I think for me personally, which I think can be related to with other INFJs, but there's this tendency to, once you notice the things in which, or once you notice the general idea of the people before you or of the person before you, you kind of mold yourself in such a way to conform to their likings. And I guess especially someone you first meet, to kind of present yourself as someone who's can be open up to, or someone who can be relied on. And like I said, I think all these traits kind of coincide with one another and kind of work together with one another. And it makes sense as a person who seems calm, who is always, looking to help someone, and who's, intuitive, observing and taking notice of other people's and their proclivities. So when you meet them, you present yourself in such a way where it's like, hey, this is a safe space, or hey, whatever you need, I have for you, or whatever you need is here for you. And so I think that's something that's subconsciously understood by other people who are greeted by INFJs and realize, or something goes off in their head, or I don't want to say goes off, but something just, I guess, recalls to them and tells them this is someone I can open up to and rely to. But okay, the second story that I was going to say, I was at the laundromat and I was just, the woman that runs the laundromat, she was there, she was in her own corner and she was doing laundry for someone else. People pay her to do the laundry and fold it for them. And so she was doing other people's laundry and I was doing my laundry. I was putting my clothes in the dryer. And as I'm putting my clothes in the dryer, I turned around and I saw her approaching me with her cart and she was pushing it. And, she just stopped the cart. And then she just sat there with her hands on her hip and she was like, you just look like someone I can open up to you. And I just been wanting to get this off my chest. And she started venting. And, I guess me being me, I kind of just took it in. And, it is what it is. I was able to feedback off of what she said. Like I said, having those, I guess, broad spectrum of knowledge, that general knowledge in what you have, and not associated, but tethered with some extent, some depth. It allowed me to carry the conversation, I believe, to be pretty well, talk about some of the things in which she was relating to. But yeah, like I said, I think all this all the traits, of course, I think it would be fitting for it to work well together. So yeah, I remember both. That's a good part.
New person and notice how they started opening up to you really quickly and you were just confused. It seems like you can never open up to someone so quickly. So how can other people that are strangers come to you for advice or for comfort? I'm pretty sure most all of you have gone through this at least once in your life. Well, it's simply because you give off a vibe that sets people at ease and makes them comfortable. And add to it the fact that you're a great listener as well. That's why people love coming to INFJs with their problems. It might confuse you, but for other people, you are like a safe place. They can share things with you and know you won't judge them and know that you'll be there to listen to their problems and help them.
That might be the first time I sneezed during reaction.
But anyways, what I was saying, here, I do have a lot of people that come to me and ask, for help and whatnot, and, to ask me to listen to some of what they got to say and give feedback. But one thing I do make sure they take note of whenever coming to me is that all my close friends know this, all my family members know this. I'm not the type of individual to give advice. I don't think I'm even the individual to believe in advice, because I really believe in the concept of to each their own. Everyone has their path. Everyone has their way of doing things. Everyone has their personality types. And if I advise you in such a way in which I would carry myself in the situation you might be speaking to me about, it might conflict with you later on, or it might, not line up with the outcome that you were expecting, because I might be a person that might be able to cope with a specific outcome in which I'm looking for out of the situation. But you might not be the person who's looking for that same outcome, or who might not be as good with coping with that same outcome. And so that's why I don't try to give it advice. But what I do when somebody asks me about something, or, ask me for advice, I say, look, I can maybe give you a story that relates to the situation in which you're talking about, that relates to my past, or relates to something which I've been through. And that's what I always try to do, because I think I'm apt at understanding when to give advice and when to just listen. And so when I get the feeling that people are looking for me to say something or to give advice, I always find a way to relate what they're saying back to me. And they kind of avoids giving advice, but at the same time, it gives them something to think about and to, I guess, confer with themselves over, and try to see if they find similarities in their own light, and see if they can take anything from my storyline and apply it to theirs if they're willing to. And yeah, that's how I like to go about it.
Know you won't judge them, and know that you'll be there to listen to their problems and help them whenever possible. I'm pretty sure many of you INFJs watching this might have been a little put off because people might think you're socially awkward. But don't worry, no one even cares about that. Once people get to know you, they realize just how kind you are.
You know,
and trust me,
I know I'm
most of
socially
your
awkward.
friends, you are a safe place, and they know they can come and talk to you whenever they need to. So be proud of yourself. That's a huge strength. What are your thoughts on how other people see you as an INFJ? Have you experienced any of these? Leave a comment and
Yes, I have. Great video. I think it was a great way, I guess we can call it a series, the personality series. It was a great way to cap off this little journey of self-exploration. Without further ado, yeah, make sure to leave a like, make sure to turn on post notifications, and make sure to hit the subscribe button. At the very least, nope, aren't wrong. If you are not going to do any of that, at the very least, please do leave a comment. I would very much love to have a conversation with you guys. Good day.